Hi everyone, welcome again to Bake Your Way Kitchen. On today's video we're going to make a delicious butterscotch cream pie. This is out of this world amazing. It doesn't take many ingredients. You will need a pie crust, which I'm about to put in the oven, and you can look on the site bakeyourway.com to learn about how to make a crust and put it in a pie plate. For now I'm going to put this in a 350 degree oven because we do need to pre-bake this. And there is an option at the end depending on if you do a meringue or whipped cream topping for this butterscotch pie, whether or not you put it in the oven again. I'll go into more detail about that later. For now I'm going to put this pie crust that hasn't baked yet in the oven, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. So that's in, and just keep in mind when you do, just a quick reminder, when you put your pie dough in the pie plate, to make sure you poke down with a fork so that the bottom doesn't puff up. So, getting started, very super simple. What I've got here is a mixture, 1/3 of a cup of flour, about 45 grams, with some salt, about 1/4 cup, and that's mixed together. Those are primarily our dry ingredients, believe it or not. We are also going to need some brown sugar. And this is the packed brown sugar. Now, I say packed, but I usually don't pack it. I just weigh brown sugar. So for brown sugar, that's 1/2 cup, you're looking at about 105 to 110 grams. That's approximately. Now, using a sifter, you're just going to mix these together, just so that they're combined. Brown sugar does have some lumps. By the time this is heated, though, so don't worry if you see some lumps now. Because by the time it's heated on the stove, because I'm doing a double boiler here, I'm using an stove-proof aluminum bowl, or you could use a stove-safe glass bowl. And I've got a little bit of water in this saucepan. We're going to bring this to the stove, but before we do, we're going to add in our liquid. Just going to give this one more mixture here. There we go, and as I'm mixing this, I'm going to add in a mixture. So you could use half and half cream. Half and half cream, if you're not aware, or if it's not available where you are, it's half heavy cream, which is about 35% butterfat, and half regular milk, so 2%, 1% even skim. I'm doing 1 cup heavy cream, 1 cup 1% milk. Now you could do half and half. You could do all whipping cream if you really wanted this super rich, or if you even wanted it on the lighter side, you could use regular milk. Just keep in mind, it will just the richness will be different. The end result, usually the fatter the content, the more delicious it tastes. So we'll go ahead and start mixing this in, and you just want to prevent there being lumps of the flour, so you need to do this before putting this on the stove. I'm going to add more in. Alright, it looks like this is all smoothed out and I've got everything in. So I'll just show you what that looks like. So that's what it looks like. So what you need to do now is put this on the stove for about 10 minutes, I would say, or basically until it becomes quite thick, because it will thicken up because of the flour involved. And that'll take a little bit of time because it needs to get heated through. And once it gets to that stage, I'll show you the next step. Okay, so our mixture is thickened up, as you can see. I'll try to show you, it's a bit hot. You can see it's much less, it's still runny, but it has definitely, you can tell, it's thickened. And so that's what we're looking for. And so what we're going to do now is, whoops, I'm trying to keep this without flying everywhere. I've got my egg yolks here, and what we want to do is take 1/4 cup of brown sugar, which is about 55 grams, in with egg yolks, and beat them together. And you can just do that really quickly. As you can see, I did it instantly. And keep the egg whites, because if you want to make a meringue later on for the top of the butterscotch pie, which I'll talk about in a few minutes, you're going to need those. And I have those right here. Alright, so that's good. So we've given the egg yolks and sugar a good beating. So now what we want to do is using a ladle or something, take some of this hot mixture and put it in the egg yolk mixture, and we're going to want to beat it as well. So I'm going to put this on a surface so that it doesn't go flying, so it kind of stays sturdy. So I'm going to take a ladle full of this hot mixture, the hot mixture that was on the stove, and stirring constantly, we're just going to beat it. I might add a little bit more, just for good measure, because you don't want pieces of egg in your butterscotch. I don't think that would be fun for anyone. So that's pretty good. So now what we're going to do is, now that it's thickened, and that did take 10 minutes, and I should have said before, you should be stirring occasionally. Now what we're going to want to do is bring this back. We're going to add in our egg mixture now. There we go. Try to get it all. Mix that in. And we're going to bring this back to the stove. Continue to have the water simmer on your double boiler. And what we're going to do is cover this, and we're going to keep cooking it for an additional 10 minutes or so. Basically, we want to get it really thickened. Sorry, did I say 10 minutes? I meant 5 minutes. But you're going to want to continuously watch and stir, and I'll show you what it's supposed to look like when it's done. I've taken this off the stove, and it really has thickened up, and you'll know when it creates kind of like mounds when you drip it from a spatula. And so now I'm going to add in our butter. This is about 3 tablespoons. You could add a little bit more. You could do up to a 1/4 cup. I've done up to a 1/4 cup. It really depends on the richness. Also consider what you used already, like what dairy products. And I'm going to add, and by that I mean if you use whipping cream or milk. And I'm going to add about at least a few. I find vanilla and butterscotch. Vanilla and butterscotch is critical, so I'm going to be adding probably about a tablespoon in the end. I really like that vanilla flavor in butterscotch. I think it goes so nice together. Alrighty, and this is our butterscotch filling. As you can see, it's pretty easy to bring together. Now, this is where you have a few options. Here's my baked pie crust, and I did bake it a little longer than I should have. It's brown, it's pretty good, but whoops, it could have been a little less dark. So now what we want to do is, you can either, there's a couple options. One, you can pour this into your pie plate and do a meringue, and a meringue being the 3 egg whites, because we did use 3 egg yolks, so the egg whites that remain in the recipe, with 1/2 cup of sugar and some salt. Beat it to stiff peaks and have that as your meringue, which is what I'm going to show you now. Or you could pour this in, immediately put it in the fridge, and then when it's chilled, either serve as is or put some whipped cream on top. So that option's up to you. For now though, I am going to simply just give this one more quick mix, and I am going to pour it in on top of our pie filling here. Doesn't that look amazing? And trust me, it smells incredible. I tell you, when you make something like this, there's like a beautiful smell that just takes over the room. It's and it'll probably bring people from your neighbors and everything. They'll all want to come over and have a slice. And you can see it's very easy. And if you're in a hurry, you could buy a pie crust ahead of time if you don't feel like making one. But I just think what I usually like to do is I like to make pie dough and freeze it, and then for 24-36 hours let it unfreeze in the freezer, and then roll it out into a pie plate so that I can have pies on demand, basically. Make pies on demand. So there we go. Put that to the side. You can kind of put it here. It's still a little hot. Give a little jiggle to make sure that it's going all ways, and looks pretty good there. So I'm just going to clean up for a second, and we're quickly going to make the meringue before adding it on top. Okay, so I've got a little bit of salt here. You could use cream of tartar. And I got some egg whites that I'll put in. And what we're going to do before we start gradually adding in the sugar, like all meringues, you need to first get this to the foamy stage. So it's best really to do this with a hand or stand mixer. Doing it by hand is possible, but it's a lot of work because you really got to beat it. So this is going to be loud for a second, but it's not going to take long to get to that foamy stage. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. Whoops. It would help if this is on. Whoa. I didn't even realize. That's so funny. I'm going to make sure this is off so it doesn't shock me. There we go. Alrighty, now we're ready. And see, we're already there. We're already at that foamy stage. So now, we're going to put this on medium-high speed, and we're going to gradually add in our granulated sugar, and it should just take a second. We're looking for about close between soft and stiff peaks, and I'll show you what that looks like. So that didn't take too long, as you can see. Whoops, alright. Just show you. So we kind of have it on the thinner side. It really depends on how thick you want this. You could go thicker than this, but this just gives you an idea of the starting point. So you can see when you drop ribbons like this, see it'll still droop. You could go thicker if you want. I'm just going to go for a soft meringue here. So you're just going to put this over the top. And it helps if you just simply just carefully spread it out. You don't want to mix those layers. I'm going to bake this in the oven for about 15 or 20 minutes until it develops a little bit of color, and at 350 degrees, 180 degrees Celsius. And I'll show you what it looks like once it's done.